Right, guys, welcome back to the SuperCircuit Podcast. My name is Aidan, and today I am joined by. You can introduce yourselves.
Oh, hello, Aidan. My name is Mark. From MB and Homeland. And yeah, thank you for having me on board.
Hello, I'm Harry. I'm also from being Homeland. Thank you.
What are the chances?
I know. Hello.
Yeah, but so I'm gonna get the first thing out of the way because we're a week on. Everybody's had a bit of time to decompress, to grieve, to whatnot. Um, Doctor Who's on tender, and
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, just I mean, it doesn't have to be long form, or whatever, but how does everyone feel?
I mean, yeah. I keep wanting to. People keep messaging me saying, "Are you going to put a bid in?" And I'm like, "No, I don't have that much money." But then I thought it'd be funny to do a video where it's like an Instagram short or something like that, where I'm walking up to the BBC with a tenner in my hand, it's like off to buy Doctor Who for a tenner, and then it says I'm dyslexic at the bottom. So that might be coming soon, depending on if I have time to do it. But overall, not really sad, kind of relieved. I think Doctor Who probably needs a break every now and again. I've talked about it before, but I don't think Doctor Who's ever going anywhere. It's too big, it's too popular for it to disappear. But the odd break here and there has always done it good, in the past. So I'm confident, I'm hopeful. How about yourself, Harry? Have you been sort of in the loop with it, or is this breaking news to you?
No, I have heard things. I personally think it was a bit of a long time coming.
Yeah.
I think it needs a break. That's what does it. If otherwise you run it into the ground. And plenty of franchises have fallen prey to just pumping stuff out, and it comes at a, I do think it affects the quality. And yeah, I do think it's just been a long time coming, and hopefully it leaves space for new ideas and writers to come in, really, I think.
Yeah.
Fair.
And it couldn't happen at a better time for us.
Yeah.
People have been saying that, like there's no Doctor Who this year, so for fan content and fan films out there,
Yeah.
I
Oh,
spoke to Daniel J. Patton about this
yeah.
with Fractured Timeline stuff coming out.
Massive respect
Great
to
time.
Dan. That
Yeah.
like I mean I said I was talking to him only the last week, and I just was like, but you don't realize the absolute, like, the amount of it, like, attention has been insane for this new one alone, like, because I just feel like people are like, obviously with the excitement for Outlander, it's sort of the thing of when people realize, oh, we don't have any official Doctor Who. Oh no.
Mm.
Their
People get
mind, like with DW 2012 last year when Doctor Who wasn't on for a bit, everybody gravitated, like, because
yeah.
they were like, we need something there, and it's great.
Yeah, and people get hungry. I often refer to it as if you want your Doctor Who fix, almost. I kind of word it almost like
Yeah.
it's a drug. But if you want your Doctor Who fix, then the opportunity to check out fan content. I mean, Big Finish wouldn't exist if it wasn't for fans in the 90s, just making audiobooks, same way we started off.
Yeah.
Mark Gatiss and Russell T Davis and
Paul
Stephen Moffat have
Cornell.
all done stuff. Exactly, they've all done stuff in the 90s and gone on to do wonderful things. Not even necessarily people who've gone on to do Doctor Who. You've got people like Mark Gatiss who did his own fan films. He's gone on to do Sherlock and
Yeah.
what was it? The League of Gentlemen is the name of the show.
Oh,
I think he's
Yeah.
done wonderful
I
stuff.
love
Yeah.
this.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think he's been, funnily enough as well. I just caught a glimpse of this, and I'm not meant to watch this because me and my partner are meant to keep watching it, but I saw a clip of him on Game of Thrones somewhere, and I just went,
Oh
it's
yeah, he is.
insane to see this guy who went from making like little Doctor Who content to now
Yeah,
being in one of the biggest shows, I think, in the world. Like, it's,
absolutely. Top 10
yeah.
shows of the 21st century, at least. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this as a Doctor Who fan, like, especially from Ireland, where the show, unfortunately, with Disney Plus, did not show it, which I think was another issue, is that the show, for all its talk of being globally shown during the Disney Plus era, didn't show to the country right next door other than on BBC One.
I didn't know that. Oh.
Yeah, I think it was a weird, it's always this weird streaming issue. It's been because we have our own streaming service here, it sort of conflicts with each other. I think we got the specials on our own one. I think 4 or 5 months after the fact. But I think it's what happens. It's how they're sold. But I mean,
Yeah.
I'm
When
very
you said specials, for some reason I immediately thought of the David Tennant End of Time, Waters of Mars specials. I was
oh
like,
my God, if it
you're
was that,
only
if it
just you're only just watching them now? It's like, God, Ireland's 16 years behind.
we'd be just there like, there's this new guy, Matt Smith. He's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's like I just saw him on The Crown. He looks ancient.
Yes, yeah,
But
yeah. What's happened?
but
Yeah.
I'm very 50-50 on it. I've been telling a lot of people that, and I think they like when I say that, I don't mean that I'm not sad. I am sad, but I think it's more I I remember when it was 2016, and funnily enough, like Mark, yourself, and MB and Homeland were sort of a nice little like bit in the middle with everybody else to kind of keep the flame going during that year.
Yeah.
Funny how 10 years later that's happened again.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
but I think I knew kind of something was going to happen eventually, whether it be after Shooty's run or whether even Jodie's run when obviously Power came out and everything. But I I just think that look, the show will go on in some form, and as you said, fan content will just always be there to kind of keep the flame alive.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
speaking of, we will get right onto it. Outlander. So I've yeah, just
Never heard of it.
yeah.
Who? I went on a podcast quite recently where someone said to me, and it wasn't I've done 90% Doctor Who orientated podcasts, understandably. I've been on the odd one or two that are a bit more further afield. And I went on one, and the guy interviewing me he said to me, so you've taken Doctor Who and you've taken the TV show Outlander and you've merged them. And I was like, no, I haven't.
Oh God.
No, I haven't. Like, where did you get that from? But bless him, I kind of filled him in. I was a bit more politer than I was maybe then. But yeah.
I mean, I can kind of see
Outlander.
his reasoning for it, because there's when
Yeah.
you do look like Outlander does come up a lot with some searches, and it's generally just because of obviously the show is that in its own right is its own big show. But
Yeah, absolutely.
but I mean, it's a cracking title for something to do with Doctor Who. It really rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, I really hope so. Yeah, and it kind of stems from, we don't really touch on with the two episodes that we've just done recently with Harry. We don't really touch on what Outlander means, but if the series develops, depending on how well these episodes are received, it can probably mean a lot of different things to different people. In terms of, are Outlanders summed up as this character or that character, or is it about the journey you go on? There's a lot of different interpretations. But yeah, you're right. I think it's a good kind of title. I kind of took a bit of inspiration from like Flux or Key to Time, just kind of, instead of telling people, hey, this is our 7th series, most people aren't going to want to watch a fan film series and start, I'm going to start with series 7, yippee. Most people want a fresh start. We've treated this like a fresh start, and it's just a really good jumping on point for people.
Yeah. No, I mean, like from what I've seen in the like, for example, the recent trailer, like it very much seems like a sort of a new kind of start for people. I mean, even if you haven't seen the recent special of A Blip in Time, it's more like here we go again, really,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, like I will ask that question to you, Mark, because I think it's been nearly, well, I'd say over nearly 2.5 years.
Nearly 3 years.
Nearly 3 years.
Since we spoke about A Blip in Time. Yeah.
I mean, it's mad because I do remember there was some like little bits here and there, like where you kind of like we're setting up for something, we're going to showing off like what we can do here, and I could see elements of that. So what I want to ask is, where in like after you guys had done A Blip in Time, were you initially thinking straight away, oh, we want to do this, or was it sort of over time you guys looked back on Blip and went, hold on, we could do more with this, like, or we?
Yeah, no, it's a really good way of phrasing it, and it is interesting if I do go back through old podcasts, and it's so weird seeing where my brain is at in these podcasts, watching them and going, I don't know what's about to come. Likewise with this podcast, probably in like 5 years' time, I'll look back and go, God, the things that we're about to do, or we might not do, we'll see. But A Blip in Time kind of came out of nowhere. We hadn't made content for a couple of years. Is that right, Harry? We'd kind of wrapped in like 2021, kind of said hurrah, goodbye.
Yeah, there was a big gap.
Special with
That
you
was-
and
Yeah.
Sam.
Was that
and,
that was
yeah.
Roots of Scarrow, was it?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Goodness.
that was almost, it was very much a kind of, we're better than Doctor Who fan films. Screw Doctor Who fan films. Let's grow up. Let's mature. Let's get on with our lives. Let's finish uni, which in my case was what was happening like 2021, 2022, a lot with other uni friends that were a part of the team at the time. And, let's go take on the big world. And then things like COVID had affected stuff. And then there was like cost of living crisis. And then knocking on various film and TV jobs maybe wasn't going well for some of us. And I just felt this hunger to just make something again. And maybe Doctor Who is my comfort. Maybe it's something I'm very familiar with. And we did A Blip in Time, and I was like, wow, that was so fun, and we can do that so much better. And that's kind of where Harry came in and stepped up to take over design and sort of
because I don't think I wasn't very involved with A Blip in Time personally.
Yeah.
But it was sort of after, as the Whispers of Outlander sort of came about.
Yeah.
Haunting
whispers.
Yeah.
Still restless sleeps.
At the start, yeah.
Just subtly like little bits going, we're doing it. It's coming back.
Yeah. And I used to record, I haven't done it in a long time, but I used to record every meeting because I didn't think just how many meetings there would be. And there's 150 videos of I don't know why I recorded them in 4K either. Like that's just a waste of file size. I got all these files of all these meetings. It was always perfect when someone would kick off on a call and then a month later they'd be like, no, I didn't. And I'd be like, display, kind of like, you did
4K.
It here. In 4K.
Yeah.
But it came up to about, when did it stop? When did I stop recording meetings? Maybe like beginning of this year. I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I don't have the space anymore. So it's so fun looking at those old video calls where things are really sort of starting off with just getting funding. Me, Harry, and Callum. I don't know if you remember, we'd have a call per scene, wouldn't we? We'd go, let's write a list of every single prop, every single costume. Let's make a note of that. We make a little list, and those were good times. Yeah.
I mean, it'll be some behind the scenes stuff when you have it, like, I mean,
True.
Not many even like just fan films or even shows would do that, where they kind of go in detail with all that. So I mean,
I feel sorry for whoever has to sift through all of it for finding memorable moments. Here is 140 hours of meetings, find memorable moments. Good luck.
You wouldn't like, there will be some editor out there that will be just like, oh my god, he saved me time just going. But no, I mean, look, it's I mean, we can kind of start off with like concept and writing. Like, how would you say Outlander kind of came into being initially, like in terms of the story itself? Like what kind of drew you to, like, I mean, literally the question I have is why America, why 1960s,
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was something that I had sat on for many years. I don't even know if Harry knows this, but in 2016,
No.
I'd done a slideshow about this Kennedy story I really wanted to do. And can you imagine if we'd done it in 2016, Harry? Just like how bad it would have been. like Dallas, Texas, America, filmed. No, not you, not me, but just we would have filmed in the same lane that we always filmed in. We would have filmed in the same church, same school, and it would have been a wholesome memory, but it would not be what it is.
It would be a completely different thing. It would have been completely different. Yeah.
And I can't remember what it was originally called. I think it was called like Assassination on 6th, because they were shot on the 6th floor of the school book depository. And yeah, I'm kind of glad I never went with that idea, but it's something that's always kind of sat there. I've been in love with the Kennedy family and just very fascinated by American politics since before I can remember. Probably sort of GCSE level, I sort of got into a lot of that and put it on the back burner for a long time. And then it was like, okay, this is a real challenge. Like, it's 2026, it's England, and we're trying to make it look like it's Dallas in the 60s. I like that challenge. I'm down for that. I love a period piece. I love a historical drama. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was kind of the gut feeling for me behind it. And then Harry had the opportunity to set dress it and do all the costumes and bring that world to life.
Yes. After no longer being an actor. No.
Yes. Still here
No,
though.
yes.
Still holding on.
Still here after my tragic death.
As the
Spoilers for
Deacon.
anybody who's not seen any of it.
Oh, it's so nostalgic.
It was a while ago. You should have seen it by now.
It'll inspire them to go back and look,
Exactly. When was it 2019? Oh, of course it probably was. Let me find out. I'll let you carry on, Harry.
But yeah, obviously I wasn't not involved in the sort of writing process. So obviously I came on to it still while it was having a lot of work going on, a lot of play, a lot of back and forth. But I was sort of already given the general like vibe idea, and Mark sort of knew what he wanted. So it was a lot easier for me instead of trying to help completely curate the look. It wasn't just here is a script and I'm unsure. Mark, he had a whole vision initially anyway.
Yeah.
So it was. I did find
gaps.
it. Yeah. Obviously, there were certain like things like set and all that other stuff. Like trying to find places that would obviously affect things like the script. But I do think that I knew straight away in terms of the time and setting. It was going to be like, oh dear.
Yeah.
It was the minute you read the words America, you're like, oh, here we go.
Oh, yeah.
I did love. I don't know if you want to talk a bit about Callum's costume, because that had a bit of a story behind it, didn't it? Like you were who was it inspired by? Bob someone or what was that, a different name?
So yeah, I was going for, because I think that got changed about a little bit as well, because we were initially umming and ahhing that he thought he was going to like later in the 60s sort of thing, and ended up a bit earlier. And so I can't remember if it was sort of we were playing about with the idea that he's dressed just a little bit too early in the sort of the time period, like that very sort of stereotypical, what you'd think of now is very 60s, where there is, if it's somewhere like Texas, very early 60s, especially in areas that maybe didn't have as much money, they'd still be dressing kind of 50s, working their way into that sort of vibe. And I think I was taking inspiration from sort of late 60s sort of musicians and things like that. And I'm pretty sure there was a video of, I know it's completely off what I was just saying, but I think there was an outfit that Jimi Hendrix was wearing. It was some sort of fur. He had like a fur waistcoat thing, because we initially found this, it was like a moleskin sort of like suede fur waistcoat. And I was like,
it's under my bed. It's still,
and
it's in the other room.
And it didn't fit him. I was devastated. It did not fit him.
Yeah.
So we had a bit of rejigging. I wanted it to be really bright, fun, a bit like Shooties in that sort, that sort of fun. When he had the, oh my goodness, I don't know what episode it was. If he had like a two-piece on, I'm sure he had like flares or something.
Is it like?
I think it was the musical one. I think it was that one.
Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah.
I think like that sort of vibe was the era I was going to go in, but it was finding clothes that fit him, because obviously I can't be trusted to go out and buy things without double checking. It did say it was his size, it just didn't fit. Yeah. But I think the main thing was doing all the research for clothing. I think that was something I was just like, yeah, I'll just go get clothes. And I was like, oh, I have to actually look into it all. I think
there was quite a bit of leeway with me, in the sense that there might be certain things that were relevant to the plot that had to look a certain way, but if a certain character had a suit or a dress, what color that was, to me, what I was quite relaxed about.
Yeah.
I did quite like the sort of leather jacket look of one of the characters. I went, that's very in that era. Like even for a 1950s, 60s America, there's always at least one out of 10 people. There's always one person with a leather jacket.
Yeah, I remember when we took Tyler to get that leather jacket. We must have tried on like 4 or 5 in, what was that shop? It was a Flamingo shop or something like that.
Yes, it was a vintage shop. Yeah, and we had him trying on all these leather jackets, comparing them, taking photos, and it got to the point where we weren't sure which one we tried on, because it was all of these black leather jackets all started to look the same
They
after
were
a
all in
while.
a row, weren't they? They were all on
Yeah.
one coat rail. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I think that was one of the things I was trying to explain to you when I was picking things like costumes. I was very much leading into they necessarily might not have been buying the most brand new 60s sort of clothes. They'd still be wearing clothes they already had from the 50s. So a lot of the clothes, they kind of look 50s-y because it's that sort of thing that, these people are working, they're busy, and, it's tax, and they're not going out and buying all the brand new fashion. So you might, in your mind, you might be like, it's not really very early. It's like, no, but, I still wear stuff from like 10 years ago anyway. So I think it was
Exactly.
that sort of vibe. If I didn't want it to just be like, this is the 60s, this is what people wore.
Yeah.
Bosh. So yeah, I tried to play about with it a little bit more.
It can say a lot about a character as well if they are wearing clothes that are a bit outdated for the time.
Yeah.
We talk about you might wear clothes from 10 years ago. I think it'd be a stretch if any of us were wearing clothes from 50 years ago. So having that kind of leeway, we can't go forwards, obviously. We can't have people wearing stuff from the 70s other than the Doctor. But having that little leeway back and forth between the 50s, I think was quite nice and really well put together. So, yeah.
I think like looking at Callum's new outfits, for example, it's very like I could even feel the jump from A Blip in Time. It felt like he'd sort of like he's advanced. Like I obviously we'll talk more about the Doctor himself in a minute, but like just the outfit itself feels like it's evolved. It's sort of matured a bit more. It's like we're seeing like with you could say Matt Smith or Peter Capaldi later on in their tenure. When the Doctor sort of gets to that point, it's like, oh, they're wearing this sort of newer, more with what they should be wearing, out like that they've matured into with their personality and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like I really like what we've done with the Doctor, but from having seen just so many cosplayers out there who will replicate existing Doctor costumes, or they'll make their own. Something like Dom G. Martin's Who Chase, a kind of purple Doctor costume. And they go down to such detail, like the cufflinks and the socks and the watch and the rings. And I'm like, and I'm not saying we haven't done that, but we could go that leap further if we wanted to. I mean, Callum, I think we've done some really cool stuff. He's got a really nice watch on him. He's got the orange waistcoat, and yeah, even down, one thing we used to always suck at was everyone would always be wearing their normal shoes or wellies if we were filming in the woods, or continuity would change. We'd be suddenly in a wooded area, someone would have wellies on, but even down to the Doctor's shoes, we have certain style, certain look, which I really liked.
And in my sort of mind, obviously this all depends on what happens with Outlander, going forward, but this particular outfit was more for this sort of like that he was expecting to be going to a slightly different that stereotypical Doctor thing. If they're like, I thought I was going to be somewhere else, my bad. So I like the vibe of the outfit, and obviously depending on where Mark chooses to take it. I'm not saying anything. I think that's also going to affect the outfit going forward. I'd like to be able to stay with it recognizable as it is in terms of maybe like color, style, fit, and things like that. But I do think that we can add in those extra things, so more recognizable pieces and things like that going forward would be good.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's funny. It's funny you mentioned that at the moment, Harry, because we just this week and a couple of weeks ago we're doing kind of very small writing calls with very early drafts of potential stuff. Again, we don't know the future, but potential stuff with cast and writers. And it is such a headache in a good way. We're at that stage where I think when the Outlander trailer comes out and we go on all these podcasts and everyone's like, this looks wonderful, it looks great, it looks brilliant. It's like, no idea the just chore it is to get over the hump that is making a project like this. I hope it hasn't lost its fun. I wouldn't say it's lost its fun. I think we can get caught up in our,
No, it does. It is definitely more serious now than it was. But that's just because it's taken a completely different direction. And obviously everybody's a bit older. And what we want out of the project has changed. I feel like for you especially, I feel like what you want out of MB and Homeland's completely different to what you went into it
Yes.
All those long
Yes.
years ago.
Oh God, absolutely.
But
Yes. Yeah.
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 I mean, that's the thing. I mean, if I was to, like, I mean, look, I can say myself from developing a project, like, it's, it does take time. I mean, my my own doctor's costume has changed so much over the years. It went from just
Yeah.
being just a jacket and a shirt to a full-on outfit that is very reminiscent of, say, stuff from Peaky Blinders or
Okay.
Irish,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
Irish culture and all that. It's very much that thing of, you all, like, over time you always, even not even just something down to the outfit, you always mature with the process. And I mean, that's something I would want to, like, I mean, obviously we have talked a bit about it, but I mean, how would you guys say, from, say, even just from Roots of Scarrow to now, like, would you say your process in making something like the series has developed tremendously, like, in terms of just everything?
Absolutely. It's interesting because Outlander's been made on a budget of about £10,000, and that's a lot of money. It's nowhere near what the show's on, but it's also no chicken.
Oh
It's no
God, no,
chicken
no.
feed. It's a lot of money. But then I was thinking the other week, like the Roots of Scarrow probably was that. We just didn't keep track of it. Like we bought a Dalek, we built a computer. We had. I mean, those are only two things I've listed. There's 100 other different things that happened in that
Yeah.
series. So it probably was a very similar price range, but I think we just spent our money wiser and focused things more in certain departments. But in terms of since the Roots of Skyrim, I mean, that's 5 years ago this August, and
Yeah.
we've come a hell of a way since then, Harry, haven't we?
Oh, 100%. I think there was no costume department really.
Yeah, just
back
Callum,
then.
wear what you want and just make sure you bring it.
It was either, do you have one of these, bring it along, kind of thing. And it was just what we could get that looks nice. I don't think we thought about it as much as we have for Outlander, which is, I want a piece of clothing that looks like this. We're actively going and looking for it. It was just sort of, I'll go out one day and see what I can find. And I think that's also heavily affected just the actors and the script writing process and everything, because there was that vision to not just think about the story but the way it's going to look. Obviously, Tom Ford, the way he's looking at it all on camera as well. And I think that's changed a lot of even something down to the color of objects, like the color of a bag, the color of costumes. That would also change, the lighting in the room and everything. And I think that is something that's been taken a lot more into account on this project than in previous projects, because you don't think about it. You think, well, that's like bottom of the barrel. We'll focus on the script, we'll focus on the camera and the actors learning their lines, and we'll film it and all the post filming stuff. And I think it wasn't something that we'd paid enough attention to, and that we realized that now we have put a bit more time and effort into it, we've gone, oh, actually it does make a big difference. So I think going forward it's going to be something that we're a bit more hot on.
I hope so. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, on Outlander, I think the one good, like, I think the great thing is that you've got more, like, I think more people looking into specific areas themselves. I mean, I can imagine Tom Ford as a cinematographer is very much looking at how visually you guys want this to look, and that's his would that be kind of like his primary kind of
his baby.
Yeah, I mean, Harry, for yourself, would obviously be the design of the outfits and whatnot, and how the places should look. That be something that you look at. And Mark, obviously yourself, writing and whatnot.
Whatever I do,
whatever you do.
I mean, I
think do something.
we can tell it's definitely been taken more seriously, because on one of our filming days, when I was waiting for Tom Ford to set up the camera, I was like, well, I can't set dress till I know where the camera's going.
Yeah.
And then beforehand, it would have been, we'll sort camera and we'll just sort of set dress. Whereas I was very much standing my ground, going, I'm not doing it until I know where the camera is. And I was like, well, no, we'll wait, kind of thing.
Too right.
I think it's a really nice shot as well. And I think that taking that time to have certain departments go, no, like we've had some of the makeup people, but we're not ready. We need to do this and this. And I think before, on some of the old stuff, we might have gone, that'll do. That's fine. This is a
bit
focus.
of hair, bit of
But now it is sort of, we've definitely come, and I think it does just look so much better on screen as well.
Yeah.
Like that we're paying more attention to the little things, and that people who are in charge of certain areas are keeping, because like before you'd be keeping an eye on everything, and you know, little things might get missed here and there. But I'm like, I don't like where that chair is, I don't like where that box is, I don't like this, and I don't like this, and I'll go and I'll move it around.
And
so
it's
I
things
do
like
think
that, you know, like people taking ownerships, you know, like we talked about Harry, we talked about Tom Ford, even just sound department, people like Sophia, Becky, you know, have been incredible. And it just takes that weight off my shoulders, you know. I always describe Outlander almost like a rock I'm holding that's just constantly getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's like at some point, chips have to come off this rock and they have to go in people's hands. And the smaller we can make that rock without overwhelming people, because some people just do this as a bit of a hobby, you know, but whatever people can take ownership of just takes the weight off my shoulder. And if I'm running around doing things that maybe aren't my job or aren't my department because I'm catching up after other people, then it just means I'm not doing my job. And then you can have moments on set, people are like, why aren't you directing me? Or why are you not reading me lines? And it's like, you know, so whatever ownership, and this wonderful stuff Harry's done, wonderful stuff Tom Ford's done, you know, all the people on the project have just, you know, I always make a joke that, you know, like 20 years ago, it was just me and Tom Skinner running around and doing all of it, doing the hair, doing the makeup, doing the acting, doing the filming. If it was just me on this project on my own, you know, I could just collapse from exhaustion of just trying to set everything up. I don't know anything about cameras. I don't know anything about hair and makeup. There was what was that one time, Harry? I was ready to do Tyler's hair.
I will just say quickly, the minute, I'll be back. 1 minute there. I will just pause this and we will.
Yes, that's okay.
But yeah, what you were saying, like from yourself and Tom Skinner when you guys originally started out, I think it is interesting to see how far that has progressed to now. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and as I was saying, it's a lot like you know, as kids, you're running around just having a bit of fun, and as it becomes more professional, more serious, and maybe more industry, it just it becomes such a much bigger, complicated, overwhelming project. I've had a lot of people praise my work ethic on this project in particular, but I there are days it is tough, but I kind of enjoy it a lot in a weird way. I don't know if I'm some sort of weird workaholic or like I found my weird niche, you know. And I've always looked around the room on Outlander, and I've always thought, I could never hand this to you and you be able to take it over. And it's like, well, yeah, because this is your niche, Mark, and they've got their niche and they've got their hobbies and they've got their passions, you know. So obviously it's going to be a lot, but I love it and I enjoy it. But having those balance, that ownership, means that the project can be even better. And then a person prioritizes design, a person prioritizes camera stuff, and then I can prioritize mainly producing, but in this case, a bit of directing as well. So
yeah, I think that's that's great in one way because it kind of gives everybody a nice little role, but it also means that when the final thing comes out, it's a team effort. Everything feels like it's come together as one.
Absolutely. And as we found out as time went on, also Harry was often to begin with on her own, running around doing lots of things, and it was clear that more people were needed and numbers got bigger. We got Juniper coming on, we got Jessica Shalom, we got Imogen, and we even had Sarah do some stuff, you know, and the support you had from that was just incredible, and every department benefited from stuff like that.
I think this isn't like a polished thing. It was still a learning curve. It's just in the direction you want to go in, like especially in the early, like you said, for the design, even though you were like, okay, we'll allocate people to different things, it still wasn't enough. But we didn't know that until getting into the project. And as the project goes on, that's where you start to realize things, because you've got all the energy and you're like, yeah, let's do this. And then obviously as a year passes, 2 years passes, that's when, and you've got to keep up of things, not that morale dips, it's just more that you're really excited for this start of a project and you think it'll be over straight away, easy done, and then you realize, okay,
2 years.
maybe things do need sorting out and do need some work. And again, everything on paper, things look great, but it's when you actually start doing them. And I think the amount of people we're working with now is crazy compared to back when it was just, like you said, like yourself and Tom Skinner, and then sometimes Graham and all these other, and then it got a little bit, and then it got a little bit bigger. And then even when Callum sort of came on board, it was still
Yeah.
relatively small, and you had, like
Yeah.
the uni lot, and from there the growth, and again that's all on you as well, that you've got to keep an eye on so many
Yeah.
more people while still doing
Yeah.
everything you were doing
Yeah,
before.
absolutely.
So
Yeah. And
yeah, there is so much more, I think, going forward. Like in terms of design, I'm aware that I'm going to have to be better at planning with this. I need to take, like, at the start, in terms of like taking photos of things, doing all these other things, because it's not necessarily something I've
yeah.
studied in,
Yeah.
like design. It's just something that I'm interested in helping out with, but I am enjoying it the more I get on, especially sort of like set design and the costume. But now I didn't have to worry about hair and
Yeah.
makeup
Yeah.
as
Well, the
much.
shoot we did, well, I won't really disclose what it
Yeah.
was, but in March we had a lovely shoot. And I think every category ticked perfectly. I left that set very, very happy. I know you talked a bit about waiting for Tom
Yeah.
or having to wait for hair and makeup, or but if that's
Yeah,
your worst cardinal sin on set, you got a good day, and I left that day very, very
But
happy,
yeah, it's also just part of the job. People will be waiting on things and making sure things are right. Everybody wants their, last checkups for hair. It's like, wait, and you're like, okay, we're gonna, no, wait, and you're still doing it and things like that. But I think it is better to have those small little, no, I want this right, or can I double check this, or sound want to go through something. It compared to before, where it was just right, yep,
Yeah.
let's go. But I
Yeah.
think the love's a lot. You
Oh
can definitely
yes,
see
and
that the love's there.
it's interesting you bring up. It's interesting
Yeah,
you bring up morale, which is really interesting because I remember fearing would morale dip over this duration of time, and it's so
yeah,
funny that 2 years in, you look back and it took us ages to find a location for what we shot in March. It took ages and ages. We were looking everywhere, and suddenly we realize it's
I
on
was
our
worried about
doorstep,
that.
and you suddenly think to yourself, could we have filmed that a year early? And the answer actually is still no, because it was always waiting for money and funds, people donating.
Yeah,
So actually, it took 2 years, and it would have taken 2 years had we,
yeah,
it was all down to the money. And so keeping morale high is
yeah,
tough because people left, people joined, and it was
yeah,
never necessarily a bad reason. There are some people like Joel and Oscar who I've never seen for 2 years, but they did a wonderful job with sound,
yeah,
and people come and people go, and
Yeah.
yeah,
It's kind of what
it's
happens
hard.
with
yeah,
a lot of productions, whether or not they be something like more in line of an original film or whatever, that if it takes so long, there'll be so many, I guess you could say, fingers in the pie, but I mean that's
Yes.
such an old saying, but I mean,
No, yeah, I think you're
yeah,
spot on. Yeah.
but the idea, like, I think the fact that, for yourselves anyway, you guys have been around. I mean, like Harry, I do think stuff like obviously continuity in set design is a big factor, because you're straight away
yeah,
thinking, okay, they lifted a cup. Where was the cup?
But
Where's the
yeah.
and
yeah.
little bits like that
I
is
think that's something I've been learning as well, though, because I wasn't. I'm mad at myself. There are certain parts where at the start, I think some people are probably the other way around, where the start of the project was like maybe very strong for them, and now they've gone, oh, as time's gone on. Mine's probably the other way around, because at the start I wasn't as sort of sure of the things I needed to do, and it wasn't until the project went along that I've become more like, okay, I know what I'm doing now. And I'm like, I wish I had taken photos of certain things, or little small things, like you're saying, like continuity wise,
Yeah.
that I wish I was more on top of.
Yeah, but these,
Like
I do think,
now.
yeah,
But
as time has
it
gone on.
happens.
Sorry, Harry. I think
Yeah,
you've improved, Tom
that's
Ford's improved. People got a lot more comfortable. Yeah.
mm. And I mean
mm,
that's kind of what I
mm,
was gonna. That's what I was gonna hop on to, like pretty much in terms of, like, other than obviously yourselves, which I think incredible, like how you've all kind of changed over, changed with this project. We go to, obviously the main person in it, the doctor, Callum. How would you
Mm.
say? Because I mean, it has been interesting over the last couple of years watching Callum develop this doctor
Yeah. Yeah.
from obviously his predecessor Samuel. Like, it's been a very big shift in not only personality but just the tone. I feel like he's really coming into his own, and it's sort of
Mm.
like, how would you describe, like, working with it? Like, because I don't think, other than maybe Luke Newman and a few other people, like, working with it someone who's a new doctor and you get to be the one, like either you've been the doctor yourself or you've had people be the doctor and now they've regenerated. How has that been, like, in terms of the development?
Yeah, and that's one thing I've always liked about our channel is there are a lot of fan films out there where the person that runs the channel writes it, films it,
Yeah.
and acts as the doctor. And with Envy and Homeland, it's more I want to sit behind the camera or I want to do a certain job and then have lots of other people do their jobs and people act in front of the camera. Callum is just incredible. I mean, he really is. I mean, I picked him because he's just so charming and so charismatic and just such a lovely guy to be around. He has grown as an actor despite probably not really caring too much about acting. He's just done stuff on the side and developed and just grown. I don't think you'd be afraid of me saying this, and I think I have said this on a few podcasts with him, but you know, this has been quite overwhelming for him in the sense that, you know, what was originally a bunch of friends filming stuff, having a laugh, helping their special little friend Mark make his Doctor Who videos, you know, has grown into a room full of assistant camera people and sparks and gaffers and hair and makeup, and oh my god, that there's a firearms specialist and there's someone filling out a form, and suddenly he has found it very, very, very daunting. He's pulled through. He's done a fantastic performance. I think he's been absolutely incredible. I regret maybe not letting him improvise a bit more. It's been very kind of linear with the script, you know, stick to the lines sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I think he's done really, really well, to be honest with you. And bless him, he's probably had like for me, watching the channel grow is what I want. I love it. It's wonderful. For someone who started off just helping out for a bit of fun and seeing suddenly you're out, maybe not out your depths, but you're suddenly, you know, you've suddenly walked onto a set with lots of people that take this quite seriously, and you maybe have no interest in that department or that aspect. And so I think he's done a cracking job, you know?
Yeah, because I mean, obviously he's going to have the familiarity with stuff like the TARDIS, that they being the interior
Yes.
or the exterior, but suddenly then when you walk onto a set and everybody's in it, it's a very 60s America setting, and he's just there like, wow. Okay.
And he did say there were so many new faces that it was actually quite good for him because everyone was getting to know everyone, you know. So new cast, new crew.
I feel like in a nice way, it's sort of, because there isn't many, like, I think the only instance of where this might have actually happened was with I think David Tennant or Peter Capaldi, when the new showrunners were taken over, that they got asked to stay on for another season. And I always wondered, like, I know obviously there's no new showrunner or anything here, but I mean, when the crew or the tone changes a bit, I always thought in my head, what would it be like to see that doctor in with that
crew.
crew? Yeah, like what would be the differences there, you know? And I think,
well, it's very a classic Who thing, you know. The showrunners did change and doctors would stay around. I think Tom Baker went through a few. He went through a few.
I think he stayed for one
free?
or two or three. Yeah.
I swear he had a bit of Barry Letts, and then he had Philip Hinchcliffe, and then I forget his name, Graham something.
Graham,
and then
and
then he had John Nathan Turner. He had 4. Oh my god, he had 4 maybe.
Yeah.
And you raise a really good point. Yeah, Callum has kind of, I wouldn't say he stayed the same, but it's almost like the world is on fast forward and everything's moving around him. He's just sort of standing there and so much is happening. But no, he has done a smashing job. And despite being impossible to get hold of most of the time, as Harry knows, he is, when you hang out with him and you go for a nice country walk with him, it's wonderful. And I need to do that still with him. It'd be nice to have a breather for a change.
Get out of the Outlander world for a little bit.
Yes.
And like,
yes.
It's like I get to just take a breather, get back, refresh.
What day is it again?
Yeah. Oh, we're in June.
What year is it? Would you say that's similar, Harry? You know Callum probably a lot more than I do, you know.
I mean, I can't speak for Callum's personal experience, but I think I've got the same thing of when we were on when we were doing MB and Homeland for our special friend Mark. it
very
special. Everything was completely different. It was definitely, it felt more like a fan project, and it was, and so I think that the reason for doing it was definitely more of a hobby and something you were doing to socialize. It was a way we'd interact with some of our friends and all this other stuff. And I do think
Mark doesn't talk to people. Could you hang out with my son for a bit?
Please.
Take my piece of my plant and plant it in your garden.
The only way we'd get to see Mark is if we agreed to film. No, he wouldn't speak to us otherwise.
I won't play video games. I won't watch football.
But I do think, it has been tough for Callum, because going from, he's not an actor, he'll tell you that he's not an actor, he's more of a presenter, and to go from doing it for a bit of fun to suddenly outsourcing your actors, actively going through casting and trying to get people in, he did feel quite intimidated. Again, I'm speaking for him here. He has said all this, I swear. He did feel quite intimidated by being around people who call themselves actors when he wouldn't call himself an actor. And I do think that there were times on set, especially with him being as like ADHD and as he is, with some of the Doctor has some vicious lines. Even all Doctor Who, you've got a lot of really jargon heavy lines, and I know that he had a lot of trouble sort of remembering them. And I think being in front of these people who have done other projects
who are
off script, and then for him to sort of like falter and be a bit like it can get a bit it gets on top of you, and then it you can struggle. But I think he's held his own, and I think the Doctor in this, it's very, very different, like the way he interacts with people. He's I think his entire sort of tone, he's not as silly, I think you'd say, as he as he has been in some of his previous things that has been the Doctor. And obviously it's not all been like fun and games. He's had a lot of serious moments as well, like especially the sort of like Roots of Skaro sort of stuff. But I do think with this shift in the direction that you're taking Outlander, I think he's also had to adjust his Doctor, because before it was Callum as the Doctor, and now it's that sort of thing of, okay, this plot's going on a little bit, and how's he going to bring his Doctor, not just himself, to the role? And so I do think that was something that he would have spoken about if he could have come. But no, I mean, even I find myself that I'd never done a lot of design stuff, and I did feel quite intimidated, especially with things like hair and makeup. I was like, I'm making it up. I'm watching videos on how to do things, and I'm trying to do a beehive, and I'm like, and the amount of times I've been sat in the toilets doing the girl's hair, like and and it's things like that, and it gets easier as it goes on. But
and people like you and Callum walk so that others can run. You guys have paved the way. Outlander, especially when we got cast, we were marketing it, and it wasn't a lie, but we were like, we're a fun crew, we're making a fun project, it's unpaid, but you'll be in costume, you'll be with props, you'll know the lines, you'll be in the set. And I think when you actually go onto some sets, maybe that facade vanishes, because people are flawed and people make mistakes, and you're on set and you see that person over there is grumpy, or that person over there doesn't know their line, or but it's about not judging them and embracing them and understanding that we're all amateur, really. We're all doing this for a laugh. You can meet some actors that are, I'm an actor, and they can actually be quite up themselves about it, and I think having Callum on set to be grounded and be funny, as tough as it was for him, I think he was needed to carry that torch and to set an example to the rest, maybe even keep some of them in line as well.
I do also think that the people like myself and Callum, who are more doing it because they're interested in it more than this is their profession, I think that it's a good mix to have on set, because it stops things being so serious sometimes. Obviously if you've come from like a professional environment and you've got somebody going, nah, that'll do, did you take it? No, I didn't, off you go. It might seem really, so I do think some things you'd be like, oh, okay, but I think it's a good mix, and both, so it's sort of, you level each other out, that some people who might be a bit more serious might sort of calm down a little bit, and the people who are like, maybe this is a bit lax and I should actually do my job, step up a little bit more.
Yeah, no, and
Yeah.
I think for me, what Outlander is it's a lot about the community. I feel we've just had, depending on when this podcast will go up, we've just had an announcement that under 16-year-olds are banned from social media. We can talk about that another time, but the reason I bring it up is I probably think that's a good thing deep down, but I also probably think it's a bad thing because youth clubs don't really exist anymore and sports clubs don't really exist anymore. And so what are these kids actually meant to do? And I feel like Outlander, with this community, with people who've worked on Rivals and Disney Plus and Netflix shows and BBC shows and documentary, and people who are fresh out of college, people who have 40 years experience, people who have no experience. We're gathering in this space to make something that we love, whether we like Doctor Who or not, and you'll find more people that don't like it than do, but we're gathering in this space to keep active, to keep out of trouble, you know, to make something and come together and be a community. And there's so many people like you know, so many people who have met through this, who have become lifelong friends, who have been in relationships, you know, who you know, so many things have happened. And for me, the takeaway is I can get grumpy and I can get harsh on things, but at the end of the day, you got to keep that fun element. You got to keep that entertainment. You know, the better we can make it, the more we can move that barrier and we keep going up and up. I'm happy with that, but don't lose what the original intention was. And that's, for me, that's community.
Exactly. I mean, I can say for myself, like I've met so many people through doing stuff like this, or even just like over the years. I mean, I would like. I mean, this is not me trying to like big myself, but I mean, I wouldn't
No,
be.
go for it.
I wouldn't be in the mention of the Daleks or any other bits of Fractured Timeline
Yeah,
stuff
exactly.
if it wasn't
We
just
love
me
you,
and
Daniel.
Dan chatting away and becoming friends through it. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
and I mean,
And I love Dan to bits as well. I probably don't know him as well as you, but the chats we've had have been really
oh,
good.
he's just a joy, and it's just it's one of those things where you know, like yourselves, like working on this, it's sort of this thing where you realize it's more like for me, it's always about the community. Like again, it's the same. It's kind of like about the community, but also about the friendship and just
Yeah.
you know the camaraderie and being you know thinking we made this together, we did this together, and it's always nice to look back on those memories and
Yeah.
just you know have a good feeling about it. I
Yeah.
mean,
And I think fan films can be quite known for being amateur.
hmm,
But I almost feel like there's a crossroad where fan and film splits,
hmm,
where you can still make a fan film and be a big fan, but it doesn't mean you know how to make a film. And you can still go the other way and make a fan film, but really be passionate about the filmmaking. So you'll have fan films out there that are diehard fans who dress up and cosplay and do that stuff, but they might not know the ins and outs of a set or set etiquette or anything like that. And then you've got the other people, we talked about Daniel, you know, the kind of people who have industry experience and you're kind of branching off that way, who are making a fan film, but for that intention of learning and developing and industry
yeah.
experience. So
I mean,
yeah.
I would say like I'll say it from just even like if no for anyone who's never seen the episode. I look at it and I look back on I'd say the 15 years Dan's been just doing stuff on and off, and it's like the sort of the barrier between TV and fan
And fan
was,
stuff, yeah. It's
was
getting
nearly
narrower.
narrow so much like it's been narrowed so
Yeah,
much
yeah,
because of that one thing. I mean,
yeah.
yeah, but I mean like going on to Outlander for example, like I
No,
would
no, 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 no. This is talking about Dan now.
oh yeah, we're talking about
We
that.
love Dan.
This is the Dan love.
The
Uh
Dan Love podcast, you know.
But yeah, no, I just in terms of like Outlander, the one thing I do want to like ask is definitely about the story, like mainly the story. Like, what like if for people now, for anyone who has no idea what like from even from watching the trailer, they like they're seeing the setting, they're seeing what's going on, but it's more like what can you guys say about the story without telling too much? Because
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
I'll leave
No.
that to you, Mark.
Do you want me to go
Right.
first, Harry? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to risk accidentally saying anything either. So I think you're a bit safer for this one.
Yeah, it's a nice historical piece about a very important piece of American history. You are meeting three characters. One who is probably fed up with his mundane life, yearns for escapism, very much the viewer's eye to the show, to the story. You got another one, his brother, who's basically living the American dream. If you can think of what you would want in the 60s at that time, he's probably got it. And then he has a beautiful wife called Catherine, who cares about him, worries about him potentially going off to potential wars that might be on the horizon. There might be rumors. And they also want something, but we don't disclose too much about what it is in these episodes, at least. But these three characters get wrapped up in a big part of history, a very pivotal moment in history. And yeah, something goes very timey-wimey, and then the Doctor comes in. It becomes a Doctor Who story. You spend the first 15 minutes forgetting this is a Doctor Who episode. The Doctor's in it.
You do.
So yes, so those are kind of the things to expect. Harry, is there anything you'd like to add that I missed that's along those lines, or something new? Yeah.
I'm just worried I'm going to spoil the plot.
And then the Daleks show up, and then the Cybermen.
And then at the very end, the whodunit is. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, no, I don't want to risk it.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm gonna hold my tongue.
It's more just me trying to find like more information, obviously, because I know like what is there like. How many episodes should we like be expecting in August? Like, because I know obviously one is out on the 29th. Am I being
yes
of August?
Yes. So one's coming the 29th, and then there will be a second one. It's sort of like a two-part pilot.
Oh.
And that one will likely be in November.
Yeah,
we're at a stage at the moment that we're actually about 2 months and 2 weeks away from the release date, and we're deep in sound. And I'm not saying it won't come the 29th of August, but we're thinking about that at the moment in a positive way. You know, I'd rather not rush it, and I'd rather things be tied up in a nice bow. If it means it's a few weeks late, then fine. But as it stands, 29th of August, and then probably the 22nd or 23rd of November. Such a pivotal moment in Kennedy lore and Doctor Who lore. In terms of future stories, we are chatting about stuff at the moment, but we'd really like to see how these do. So if you like them, share them, get the word out, and that will then determine what we can do.
Yeah,
that's the most. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, I was going to say that. Like,
sorry, slightly different. It's one of the most important things I think about this particular project. It is, you know, like it's a Doctor Who sort of like a fan series, so the fans are important. So I think, especially for Mark, it's seeing how people react to these first two episodes before, you know, because obviously I'm not writing, so it's all good me saying that. I'm like, so we're going to see what happens. But I do think it is, especially with what's going on with Doctor Who at the moment, it's seeing what people like, what people didn't like, and then I think it's having not let other people influence the writing too much, obviously, because you noticed that a lot with some fan series or even like other projects, like, you know, non Doctor Who related projects, where the fans become such a big influence that they're the ones sort of directing it, and so you don't want too much of an so you don't want that much of an influence, but you do want to know how the audience is feeling, so you know, are we going in the right sort of direction? Or even if you feel like you're not going in the right direction, you're like, okay, no, this is what I want, and we're doing it. But then you know what you're working with in terms of budget and things like that, like next time. So
and we're in an interesting place at the moment where, like I hinted at, we're talking about scripts, but it's still just such early days, you know, and it's much better than the alternative, where I think some of these episodes that we just filmed, we were sometimes filming stuff and we hadn't finished writing, and there was a lot of actors were like, what's happening in this? And so we're kind of just jumping straight in as soon as possible, and I've spent probably several hours writing scripts, and they might not necessarily happen, but I don't see that as time wasted. You know, that's still a learning experience at the end of the day.
I mean, it's good for later when you're like, when the time comes and you're like, where's the script? Got it, thank God.
I mean,
I'm very interested to see where this goes, because I mean, like you mentioned, like obviously the Kennedy link is very, I mean, it's very it is intrinsically linked to Doctor Who in a way. Like you can't, like, it is that, like, I know people are like, I know it's a bit of a, a sad moment. I'm like, yes, but they are linked. Unfortunately, by history,
By a day, yeah.
by a day. It's one of like, I mean, even in the Adventure in Space and Time, they make it a moment to go.
They mention it, yeah.
They're like, yeah, we kind of need to air episode 1 again, because people might have missed it.
Yes, something might have happened. Yeah.
So it's stuff like that. It's just I do think that's going to be, I do like that kind of link is there for people to be like, oh yeah, it goes back to the beginning in a way, like
Yeah. And I kind of hinted at we have 3 companions, sort of characters that we follow, which is quite reminiscent to the first Doctor's 3 companions. Their names are Jack, Frank, and Catherine, and their first initials spell JFK.
Oh,
aren't I a great writer?
It's you could say it was on the nose.
Yes. Well, yes.
Yeah, but
that's about as far as I can write.
I did not. But look, I'm very excited to see where this goes now, and I will, like, to yourselves and to all the team. I massive congrats on what you've done, so far, because obviously the project is ongoing. The GoFundMe is still up and whatnot, and
Absolutely.
like, yeah, I've been looking. It's gaining a lot of traction at the moment. You know what I mean? Especially in obviously getting closer and closer to the first episode coming out. So I mean, that's mad. I mean, I imagine it's done a lot for you guys in helping with the production and whatnot. So
yeah. Oh yes, yeah. I mean, we wouldn't have been able to do what we did if it wasn't for fans and friends and family members.
Mark would be bankrupt if not.
Yes, yes. And I sold all my Doctor Who figures to make Outlander possible. So.
That is, I feel like I'll have to be doing that myself one day. So, Mark, if you want a few Doctor Who figures back in the future, there's some there. All right.
I don't know if you keep up to date with character options releases, but they've just we're about to release a wave that you can have your own Yeti you can assemble, and I'm like, no, Mark, don't do it.
Series 7 Cybermen, come on, man.
I was like, no, I can't fall for this again.
Just you know what? Wait for a Christmas present from the family or something. Just be just slyly sneak it in there, But so look, before we close out this podcast, I always do this thing where I'd like to it's more of a new thing, but it's more just to say, how do you want to would there be anything else you want to say to the fans of the series, to anyone who hasn't seen the series, or just anything you want to say in general to wrap up on this?
I feel like with where Doctor Who is at the moment, and there's a lot of worry and concern, and I do see a lot of people who are scared for the future. Outlander is an opportunity to watch some Doctor Who material that might not be remotely close to the budget that Disney have or the BBC have. But I hope that it is confirmation, not just Outlander, but Fractured Timeline and all these other fan projects, all these other audiobooks. I hope it is confirmation that Doctor Who's in safe hands. People are like, oh no, Doctor Who's going away. It's like Doctor Who's not going anywhere. Like the fans kept it relevant in the 90s, whether it was through Doctor Who magazine, Big Finish, the list goes on. And I hope people can watch Outlander and they'll look through the small cracks. They'll look through the odd moments that that stood out a little bit, but they'll look for it and go, you know what, things are going to be fine, and be grateful that it isn't made with AI. It's all physical. It's all proper sets. It's all proper diners. We're at a point now where, I really want to get into this industry, but this industry might not want me or want most of us because you can click a button now and it can do it for you.
Yeah.
So yeah. A great appreciation for physical material. That's Outlander.
No.
I'm hoping it'll get people into making things as well, because like you said, with myself and Callum, we're not professionals. We did it as a hobby, and we were booted out the second there was the option to get people who were professionals in. And I do think if it encourages people, especially now, like you said, with everything going with Doctor Who, if it does encourage people who have ideas, even if it's just for scripts or plots, to reach out to other groups, to channels or to make their own stuff as well. And I think that it would be really interesting to see fans be like, they've done that, I think I could do that too. And that's sort of, like you said, the community as a whole I think it's just quite nice. It is a tight knit community, and a lot of the channels do all know each other and interact. And I think that is one of the nice things about the Doctor Who sort of fan base is, like you said, through the 90s, that it they do all sort of keep together, and so you know that people are going to come and watch this project when it's out. And it's not that sort of worry of, I don't think anyone's going to watch it. We know there will be, because I think that the fan base does support each other and the ideas that come from it. And I do think it would be nice to see more people want to get involved with these sort of projects, so it could get to the size that the official Doctor Who BBC sort of level stuff is, because more and more people want to get involved with these sorts of projects. I think that would be really interesting to see how that goes. And I'm not even going to mention that one costume I don't like.
Save it for the panel show.
I will.
It comes out in the panel show.
Well, look, thank you again, guys, so much for being on this podcast. It honestly has been a joy to talk to you for the last, I think it's been over nearly an hour and a half. We've been talking, but honestly, like I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys have done with Outlander, like where it's going forward and whatnot. And to all the to anyone fans out there, anyone that hasn't, like, please do check it out on the 29th of August 2026. Obviously, bearing in mind whatever happens, Mark, no worries.
Yes. Fingers crossed.
And if you haven't already, do please check out the MB and Homeland YouTube channel. They have a massive backlog of content, like many different doctors, and it's good promotion. It's good promotion. It gives them the history.
No,
if you wanted something more recent, do check out A Blip in Time. That to give you an idea. And thank you everybody. This has been the SuperCircuit Podcast, and we will see you later.
Thank you, Aidan. I appreciate it. Thank you.